It's now been over 3 years since the release of Super Mario Odyssey. It's a game that will always be significant for Mario and Nintendo fans alike. The game was the perfect follow-up to March 2017's Breath of the Wild and solidified in many people's minds that Nintendo was finally back on top. It had been 10 years since the last breakthrough in the Mario formula, and this game was what many people had been waiting for. Of course now, like any other mainline Mario game, the speedrunning community is massive. 3 years later, everything there is to know about Odyssey is known, so you may know some of the ideas behind Mario Odyssey's boss fights already, but the game provides good examples of how the Mario series does boss fights, and raises the real question: how does a core 2D platformer do boss fights? With no combat? Let's get into it. There are a couple types of boss battles in Super Mario Odyssey. The first are the new recurring baddies standing in for the Koopalings called Brutals. They are fought multiple times throughout the game and are smaller in scale and presentation. The other type of bosses are, for lack of a better term, the Kingdom Monsters. These guys are much larger and more varied. They're only fought once in the main story. But how is it that we're able to fight these guys with no actual attacks? Let's start at the beginning with our first boss, Hopper. Hopper is a smaller boss fight, given how we were just getting used to the game. At this point, we've just gotten the main mechanic being Cappy and are learning how to use it. The thing is, Hopper's fight actually reflects this. To open his weak spot, we have to knock his hat off, and the only way to do so is with Cappy. From this boss fight, the player learns to be more comfortable with throwing and using Cappy. Combat in these brutal fights comes down to Mario's jump or ground pound, a tool that can be used for platforming and defense. The structure of having the level prepare you with a new mechanic before a final fight involving said mechanic is a good design choice for a proper difficulty curve and is common in Odyssey. Next is Cascade Kingdom, which shows you how to use the chain jumps early on to get a couple moons and break walls, before having you launch them back at Madame Brood for the win. Another example are the tanks in Metro Kingdom, which are used to clear a path to the Mecha Wiggler, a boss that can be taken down by firing shots at its body segments. The new capture mechanic is fun in Mario Odyssey, but it also serves the purpose of creating fun boss fights that are relevant to the game. It makes sense to have the boss of an area be a culmination of what you learn there. To have a level be based entirely around platforming, only for a boss to require completely unrelated skill, is confusing and not very fun. Dare I say it, but it's the reason people hate the Bed of Chaos in Dark Souls. It's a platforming boss fight in a game completely driven by exploration and combat. This design isn't actually exclusive to Mario Odyssey for the Mario series. Let's look at an example from Mario Galaxy 2. The level Bowser Jr.'s Fearsome Fleet has you using Yoshi to suck up bullet bills and spit them back at glass orbs to break them. Then the boss fight, fittingly enough, has you spitting bullet bills back at it to break its glass panels. Of course, this is easier to do in a linear game like Galaxy 2, but Odyssey manages itself by locking these boss fights behind story beats that can only be completed by learning the new skill. Take Sand Kingdom for instance. Its main captures are the bullet bills, which are used against the giant face underneath the ground. However, to be able to access that fight, the player needs to have cleared the inverted pyramid, a linear section full of bullet bill challenges. But that's not all. Odyssey also ensures that players are learning these skills by having optional challenges related to them. This temple in the back of the Sand Kingdom looks intriguing, and if players explore it, they'll find a bullet bill challenge waiting for them. So most of the game's boss fights are like this, but a few aren't, including Bowser. Not to say that Bowser isn't a great fight, but it feels a little off compared to the others, because there really isn't context to what you're doing. Wearing the wedding hat is a one-off idea that isn't used in any other levels, and I always found the true final boss to be the darker side platforming challenge. Something that feels like a final exam of your skills you learn throughout the game. Most captures make a return, like the lava bubbles or the uproots, and common ideas like the 2D sections or the laser blasting bots are here as well. Alright, so some loose thoughts before we close it out. I like how the mini brutal fights have ways to make them go faster if you know what you're doing. Like how landing on top of Rango's hat makes his head pop out faster, or stopping Spewer when he tries to spread his poison will make the phase end faster. It rewards players of a higher skill level without punishing other players, which is always nice to see. Also, I think it's funny how even bosses like the Dragon of the Ruin Kingdom follow the principle of learning a mechanic for the boss fight. Mario learns what these gold locks do and uses them for the fight. So simple, yet it makes the fight more meaningful. Anyway, I hope you learned something new, or at least enjoyed the video. I guess that's all for now. Bye!